alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to another video of basic quick presentation. So in this video, we're talking about Eid prayer, the prayer of Eid, Salatul Eid, or Salatul Eidain, the two Eid, because we have two of them. So we're talking about that in this video. Um, Eid prayers. First thing we'll talk about is the ruling. What is the basic ruling for Eid prayer? So the basic ruling for Eid prayer is that it is collectively compulsory. It is collectively compulsory. So when we say collectively compulsory, what it means basically is that if if some people perform it, that is people that are sufficient to perform the task, if they perform it, then it is no longer compulsory upon the rest. So that's why I called it collectively compulsory. In Arabic, it is referred to as a fardu kifaya. That is, once a particular set of people have done it, and those people that did it are sufficient for that work, then it is no longer compulsory upon the rest. So another example is like the funeral rites. So to observe the salah upon the dead, or to bury the dead, and the like. So it is collectively compulsory. Once some people have done it, then it is no longer compulsory on the rest, to perform it. But if a person joins them, he gains, the reward. So that is the same thing here. So it is collectively compulsory. So, and this is why it's essential to know this, because a lot of people pay more, use more energy, in observing, in making sure that they observe Eid prayer, while they abandon the 5 daily salawats. The 5 daily salawats are individually compulsory. They are compulsory on person every person. They are compulsory on every person. So the fact that some people have done it does not make it less compulsory on you. So but in the case of Eid prayer, the fact that some people have done it, if they have done it and they are sufficient, people that are not just anybody, people that that fit in that Salah is actually compulsory upon them. If they have done it, if the people that the Eid prayer is compulsory upon them. So, and this does not include women. So the women, you don't use women to make up the numbers. So it's only people that the prayer is compulsory upon. So when we continue, we discuss more things about Eid prayer. So the people that Salah is compulsory upon them, that is the Eid prayer is compulsory upon them, if they are sufficient for that Eid prayer, then the rest, it is no longer compulsory upon them, but it is very good that they go, because they will get the reward for the act for the Eid prayer. So that's the meaning of Fardu Kifaya. Something that if a particular set of people have done it, it is no longer compulsory on the rest. But if the rest also engage in it, they will get a massive reward. So that is the meaning of Fardu Kifaya, collectively compulsory. So, and the next thing we're talking about are the types of the Eid prayer. What are the types of Eid prayer? We have Al-Adha and Al-Fitr. Al-Adha is the one we observe, where we slaughter ram and the like. So that is why it is prescribed to slaughter ram. So, and the Al-Fitr is the one that Al-Fitr is the one that is done at the end of Ramadan. So it's done at the end of Ramadan. So, and the time for the prayer, the time for Eid prayer, the time for Eid prayer is just the same time for Salatul Duha. We talked about Salatul Duha some videos back. So the time for for Eid prayer is also the same time for Salatul Duha. So, and this begins from 20 minutes after sunrise. So I explained why we have it as 20 minutes after sunrise, to make it simplified for us. So there are descriptions that the prophet gave to us, and the scholars have simplified it to the extent that said it's few minutes after sunrise, about 10, 15, or just 20 minutes after sunrise. So because at this point, that is when Salatul Duha begins, and it continues until the sun rises to its highest. When the sun rises to its highest, it is one of the forbidden times to pray. We took that not too long ago. So it's one of the forbidden times to pray. So between these two, the period between these two times is the period for Salatul Duha, and it's also the period for Salatul Eid. So whichever of the Eid. So, but it is preferable to observe one early and the other you delay it a little. So we'll talk about that later. So and also it ends till few minutes before Zuhr. That is few minutes. That is when the sun has reached its highest. That's few minutes before Zuhr. Because when the sun reaches its highest, you know, it is not expected to observe any voluntary prayer at that time until it has left that position a little bit, and the shadow of the objects begins to form again. It begins to become visible again. So that is the time for Zuhr. So till few minutes before Zuhr, that's why we have it like that. So preconditions, what are the preconditions? That is conditions for Eid prayer. Appropriate time, it has to be at the appropriate time. And presence of three non-travelers, so this is, remember when I was talking about the meaning of collectively composed, I said if people that are sufficient for it have actually done it, and it's no longer compulsory on the rest. So uh, in this case, the number required is three non-travelers. So, but there are differences of opinions, regarding it. We're just making it, keeping it simple and keeping to a single opinion. We have other opinions, and we have people that say the numbers is not just three. It's, some say it's 40 and the like. So, but we are keeping it with just a single opinion that seems to be the common opinion amongst the scholars. So where do you observe Salatul Eid? You observe Salatul Eid. There are two places you can observe Salatul Eid. The preferred place is that you observe it on an open ground, an open space. That is where you observe Salatul Eid. That is, very wide and spacious, and wide and spacious, and can contain as many as possible people. Then under difficulty, that is maybe due to heavy rain or some other things, some other difficulties, so a person can observe it in the mosque. There's no problem with that. So, and also the method, what is the method of observing this? We mentioned this in the coming slides. Then also we talk about the etiquette also in the coming slides. So the method, how do you observe um, Salatul Eid? So Salatul Eid is just similar to the normal salawat. That is the things you say during in the course of this prayer. They are the same thing. So, but there are some uh, little changes, and that is what we're mentioning here. So two rakas before khutbah. That is Salatul Eid consists of khutbah, just like Salatul Jumu'ah, but in this case the prayer is before the khutbah. So that is the normal way of doing it. The prayer is before the khutbah without adhan or iqamah. You don't do adhan, you don't do iqamah. So for Salatul Eid. So, and the next is that you recite aloud during Salatul during the Eid prayer, the two Eid prayers. So, and also you make takbir 6 times after the opening one. That is after the opening one, the first one, which happens to be part of the arkan. So after that first one, you make 5 takbirat, and you make 6 takbirat. Sorry, to make 7 in total. You make 6 takbirat to make 7 in total. We know the meaning of takbirat, that is saying Allahu Akbar. So you make 6 takbirat to make 7 in total. So some prefer to keep the figure as 7. So, but I prefer to keep it as 6, because 6 is the addition. The first one is actually part of your salah initially. It has always been there. So the 6 is the addition. So, and making takbir 5 times after rising for the second rakah. That is after a person has risen for the second rakah. That is, he would do the takbir while rising for the second rakah. So that is not part of the 5. So once he has risen, then he will make 5 takbirat before he begins his recitation of Fatiha. And then the first rakah, when a person does the first takbir, the first takbir, he does the supplications that the Prophet has encouraged us to do. So he does that, and he does his 6 takbirat after that. Then after that, he will do his isti'aza, that is say a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, or similar words. Then he will begin the recitation of the Quran. So that is the recitation of Fatiha. So that is the way he does it. So raising the hands for each takbir is also part of the method. That is the method of observing. That is for each of those 6 takbirat or those 5 takbirat, you raise the hand for each of them. So, and that is how you observe Salatul Eid. So etiquette. What are the etiquettes of Salatul Eid? There are many etiquettes of Salatul Eid. We just been mentioning uh, a few. Observing for Al-Adha, Eid al-Adha early, and for Al-Fitr delayed. That is observing for Salatul, that is the bigger, some say the bigger Eid, that is the Eid where we slaughter ram, where we are, where slaughtering of ram is prescribed. So observing for Al-Hadha early, while for Al-Fitri delayed. So because there are some other etiquettes that corresponds with this, and when we mention them, we explain it. So eating before going out for prayer on Eid al-Fitr, you eat before you go out for prayer on Eid al-Fitr. I hope you know the difference between these two. The Eid al-Fitr is the one that comes after Ramadan, immediately after Ramadan, after the fasting of Ramadan. So you eat before you go out. It is prescribed. All this is not a compulsory act. Even the first one that we mentioned is also not a compulsory act. So avoiding eating till after prayer for Al-Adha. This also is not a compulsory act, but it is prescribed. It's part of the etiquette of Salatul Jummah. Also part of the etiquette is walking to the venue early according to the stipulated time. So in your area, you might have a particular time that you want to observe Al-Adha. So it is good to walk towards that time and arrive there early. So it is not just Salatul Eid, also Salatul Jummah and every other Salawat. So you try to go to mosque as early as possible. Then taking go slow and beautifying oneself before stepping out, just like you have it in Salatul Jummah as well. So you take go slow and beautify yourself before stepping out. Also engaging in much remembrance of Allah, engage in much remembrance of Allah, and saying Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Walillah alhamd. So saying this statement this particular way, saying it a lot is also one of the etiquette. And change of route when returning, that is the pathway you followed while going to the mosque, you shouldn't follow that pathway while coming back. This is it is sunnah, it is not compulsory. So but it is sunnah that you do that and gain a reward. So these are the etiquette, and these are just some of the etiquette of Salatul Eid. So, and this is what we stop for the purpose or the scope of this presentation. Pray to Allah to make it better understood.